Good evening and welcome to another edition of Junction City News. I'm Ashley Snellenberger, the Communications Director for the City of Essex Junction. Tonight we have Chris Ewan, who's our Community Development Director with us, and he is going to be discussing the Pearl Street Multimodal Improvement Project. So Chris, let's really get into what exactly is this project and why is it needed?
Sure. Thanks for having me here. It's my pleasure to be back on the show. So this the Pearl Street Multimodal Improvements Project is really about fixing a big gap in our transportation network. Right now, if you're entering the city from the west, you'd find yourself on Pearl Street between Susie Wilson Road and West Street Extension. We've got a map of this on the slides right now, showing the location that we are thinking about. So this section of Pearl Street is a 4-lane road with a median and a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. It really feels quite like a highway. You know, the section of Route 15 before this, further to the west, it is also meant for fast travel. But in reality, you know, you're entering the city when you're driving on this part of the road. More and more people are calling this area home as new apartments are being built on the north side of the street, yet it doesn't have any safe, dedicated space for cyclists, and there's not enough sidewalk room. The sidewalks are too narrow to comfortably share between both pedestrians and cyclists. So we've also got no bus stops on the eastbound side of the road, which means that people can ride the bus into Burlington, but they can't safely get off the bus going the other way. So the purpose of this project is to make Pearl Street safer, more visible, and more comfortable for everyone, whether you're driving, walking, biking, or taking the bus. And the goal is to connect existing facilities on both ends and to create an inviting corridor that people of all ages and abilities can use, and to do that in a way that keeps traffic moving efficiently. And the need comes down to really 3 things. First of all, we want to complete the missing link in the bicycle network. There is already a shared use path between Susie Wilson Road and St. Mike's. And we have a set of bike lanes on Pearl Street east of West Street Extension. So we're trying to fill in the gap over here. Number 2, we want to fill in the gap in eastbound bus service. So Green Mountain Transit's number 2 route runs every 20 minutes, and it's one of Vermont's most utilized bus services. It's also one of Vermont's most frequent bus services, coming every 20 minutes. Yet, you know, we just need to put in an ability for people to get off and cross the street in order to take advantage of that service for the folks living along there. And number 3, we're trying to work within our resources. The city already has funding set aside for this project, but we want to be delivering improvements that can realistically be built without waiting another decade for outside funding. So we want to use the funding that is available to start building something sooner rather than later. That's really the heart of why we're doing this right now.
That sounds amazing. So Pearl Street has been a topic of discussion throughout the years, and I know that there was a previous study done in 2018 where some changes of the street were considered. So what was that proposal and what's changed now that we're talking about this again?
Sure. So we have to actually take a look at what's there right now for a comparison. So the existing conditions are, as you see on the screen, we've got 4 vehicle lanes, 12 feet in width each, with a 16-foot median with trees there. Another set of 12-foot lanes, a green belt, and then a sidewalk. What was proposed in 2018 as a preferred alternative, this was something that the select board at the time, the village board at the time had endorsed. It was to remove the median and to reconfigure the road as such. So starting from the right side, you've got a 6-foot bike lane with a buffer, a 3-foot buffer, an 11-foot lane for through traffic, a 12-foot turn lane, another 11-foot lane for through traffic in the other direction, a buffered bike lane, a green belt with trees, new trees over there, and then a shared use path, an 8-foot shared use path. This is meant to be used by both cyclists who may not have the confidence to be riding in the road and to be used by pedestrians. That was the preferred alternative. So it's also important to see why the median was considered over there then to be removed and just compare it with what's there right now. Right now, with the median there, if you're getting out of one of the apartments on the north side and you need to go to the other side of the median, let's say you're trying to go into Essex Junction City Centre, you have to turn around at the jug handle turn. That's at the Susie Wilson Road intersection. You can kind of see on the left side of this image. It's a bit of an inconvenience, and you have to wait quite a while for there to be a gap in traffic for that to work. And when there's enough traffic, if it's busy, it's quite difficult to get there. So what was proposed in 2018 as a preferred alternative, by removing the median, you would have free access into those properties and free access out of them. So out of the preferred alternative, there was also what was called option A. This was an add-on. It can be thought of as a separate piece, but it was recommended that the city try to pursue this. It falls outside of our jurisdiction. This is along Route 15, but it proposes adding an on-street bike lane on the south side between Ethan Allen Avenue, that's at the Fort, and Susie Wilson Road. This is to help people get across the streets and start going eastbound in order to take advantage of the buffered bike lanes east of there. But this was an added cost. And the reason why we have to think about all this again and be back to the drawing board is because of this. I've got the project costs pulled up over here to show, just to show what the costs are like when it's adjusted to reflect 2025 dollars. So the 2018 preferred alternative, removing the median and making all the changes, in today's dollars would cost over $4 million, $4.2 million. The add-on with the bike lane between Ethan Allen Avenue and Susie Wilson Road, that's going to be about $388,000. Unfortunately, we only have $1.23 million available in the capital budget right now. And we have been unable to find states and federal sources, funding sources that have been large enough to cover the difference. So for that reason, nothing has been built so far. So we went back to the drawing board to try to see if there's something we can do to work within our means to get something on the ground. Maybe we can continue thinking about further improvements in the future. But that's how we came up with 2025 Alternative 2. So what's with Alternative 2 of 2025? Well, we're trying to save costs by keeping the location of the existing curbs. That's the biggest change. We'd be keeping the median as is, so you would still have to use a jug handle to turn around if you're a driver. This would add a 10-foot separated shared use path on the north side of the streets along the entire length. And you'd be allowed as a cyclist and a pedestrian to use it in both directions. There would be a reduction from 2 lanes to 1 lane per direction, except near the intersections. And this would also add an eastbound bus stop. If we want to take a look at how the cross section looks like, the top half over here shows the cross section where there is the bus stop. You've got the shared use path, 10-foot shared use path, with a green belt beside there, an on-street bike lane, and a buffer beside that. And then a 12-foot vehicular travel lane, another bit of a buffer. It's just 2 feet beyond that. The trees would remain, the median would remain, another lane going in the eastbound direction, and the bus stop. For the rest of further east, so where there is no bus stop, the cross section would look like what's below. The only difference is instead of where the bus stop exists on the top, you would have a right turn lane, and that's for folks that are trying to turn into West Street's extension. from the top down, this is what it looks like. We've got the entire project area drawn over here. I think I'm going to zoom into some details just to show you, what this looks like. Closer to West Street Extension, you can see that in the eastbound direction, we do still fan out to 3 lanes: 1 through lane, 1 left lane, 1 right lane. In the westbound direction, currently, if you're coming from the city, you actually only have 1 lane per direction. It fans out to 2 lanes right now. We continue with the 1 lane configuration until further down the road.
And this would be where the bus stop would be stopping. We'd be adding that bus stop.
So no, this is actually an existing bus stop.
Okay.
There is an existing bus stop going westbound on where that circular turnaround is, and
Okay.
there's actually an existing bus stop. It doesn't show it in the other direction across the street. It's already there. But as we move further west, we'll see the location where the additional bus stop is going to come in.
Good deal.
So a little bit further west, now we're lining up with about this 203 Pearl Monarch Apartments. You can see the cross section over here. 1 turn lane on the south side, 1 through lane, the median, and the 1 westbound through lane, the buffered bike lane, and then shared use path. So, some people ask, why would you have the buffered bike lane if you already have the shared use path? And, we really thought a lot about that. It's not technically necessary to do that because there is a safe alternative. But we'll come back to this when we're talking about speeds because, one of the big changes over here is that the speed limit is proposed to drop from 45 miles an hour to 30. We know that if you make a change without changing the infrastructure and the feel of the road, people will still go the speed that they naturally feel like they should go at. So this lane reduction is to encourage traffic calming, to encourage people to drive at consistent, safe speeds. Now, as we shift further to the west, you can actually see where the transit stop going eastbound is being proposed. So the southbound lanes it kind of narrows down to 1 lane at that location before it fans out to 1 turn lane and 1 through lane. And then there's a crosswalk over there across the street where there is an existing bus stop. Now, once we get to Susie Wilson Road, we know Susie Wilson Road is rather congested. It's a very busy intersection, and the capacity, the queuing capacity is really important there. So we kept 2 lanes going westbound over there. We also have 2 lanes going eastbound just to start. I mean, it's interesting to note that right now there's actually only ever 1 lane of traffic feeding into it at one time.
Right.
So why are we having 2 lanes to start over there? It's actually because the VTrans is considering installing a dual left turn lane from Susie Wilson Road feeding into Pearl Street. So we want to make sure we can accommodate whatever changes that VTrans will be considering in the future. But it does narrow down to 1 lane so that we could have the bus stop after that. Now, if we're comparing these alternatives, we've already talked about project costs. This new alternative, 2025 alternative 2, falls well within the $1.2 million budget. We estimated right now to cost about $960,000. What are some of the other components over here? Well, it completes a missing bicycle link. It creates a more inviting corridor for bicycle and pedestrian mobility. It's usable by people of all ages and experience levels. It improves transit access. Transit access is something that wasn't considered as much in the previous study, but the eastbound bus stop is added with this. Safety would be improved. Notably, when you keep the median and safety is actually improved a little bit further. The median does help reduce the number of conflicts when you have a busy road like that. You don't have people, from going in the other direction cutting in front of you. So that's something to consider, that it's actually likely a little bit safer, the 2025 alternative, than the 2018 preferred alternative. But one trade-off that we have to consider here is that this new alternative does not simplify motor vehicle access to Pearl Street properties. You may have to drive past your home to turn around, as you have to do right now.
So it looks like we're getting some things that are better, but some things that we're not getting everything with this alternative that we had with the original. So obviously, like I said earlier, we've been talking about this multiple times. So let's talk about some community concerns and things that we've heard. So Chris, won't reducing the lanes make congestion worse? Like think about this week is the fair. So we have a really congested week this week, or when concerts are going, or even rush hour. So how do we address that?
Well, Pearl Street's always has been changing for quite a few years. And if you remember from long enough ago in 2009, this is what Pearl Street further east used to look like. It was a four-lane cross-section. So the village at the time did what was called a road diet and reduced the number of lanes and added in center turn lanes and bike lanes. But if for those who experience the road right now, unless there is an event which causes a bottleneck, like the Champlain Valley Fair sometimes, on most days this is free-flowing traffic. So we really have to be thinking about bottlenecks when we're thinking about whether or not a change to a road will cause congestion. And that's why we've been really careful with redesigning this street to make sure that ahead of where the bottlenecks are, we have the capacity. So we're back on this slide over here where we're talking about the end of the project near Susie Wilson Road. We maintain 2 lanes over here where you often get kind of a stack of cars in front of the red light there.
Okay. So we talked about we're not removing that median, but why not just remove the median so people can turn out of their driveways?
Well, that's a great question, and this is the question that started the whole project. The cost of removing the median alone, if you'd made none of the other improvements, if you didn't add the shared use path, if you didn't plant any more trees or change any of the lanes, it would be $1.8 million in today's dollars.
So still over our budget.
It's still over our available budget. So there's that, and there's also safety. I think having the median there, it's something interesting I've learned when I've been talking to some of the residents who live along that streets in some of our recent events, is that some of them actually appreciate the fact that the road is the movements are simplified with the median there. So they don't have to worry about someone cutting in front of them. It's a little bit more inconvenient to go around, but it's a little bit more tame when you are pointed the right direction.
Okay, so let's talk about that bus stop. Right now there's not a bus stop at that location. So how's this project going to fix it? You've talked a little bit about it, but let's go more into detail of that.
Sure. So Green Mountain Transit's Route 2 runs every 20 minutes between Essex Junction and Burlington and hits all the big employment centers. It goes by the Fort, it goes by St. Mike's, it also goes by UVM Medical Center and then downtown Burlington, connecting to all of their other services. In the westbound direction, there are regularly spaced stops. But in the eastbound direction, you can see over here, the dots at the top indicate where the stops are. And the last stop before you get to West Street Extension is actually at the Fort. We've got a gap of over, I think it's 3/4 of a mile over there with no service. And this reason is because of this picture at the bottom. This is what it looks like. There's no sidewalk and there's no way to cross the street. So the bus is not going to drop you off at a place that is unsafe. But we also know because of that, if you take the bus from what you see, the stop across the street, you're gonna have to get off quite a bit earlier and walk a long distance, or maybe you just might not take the bus. You might just drive instead. So yeah, this is something that we're trying to change, and the slide right now shows, again, the location of this bus stop and how you would access it.
So in addition to this bus stop, we're also including a crosswalk. So this is a busy road. Is it going to be dangerous, Chris?
Well, that's a good question, and this is something we certainly have to consider, and we have to design this infrastructure to be safe. So what you have on there, the RFBs, that stands for rectangular rapid flashing beacons. Those are the flashing lights that when you press a button, they will activate and tell alert drivers that there's somebody trying to cross the road. They are shown to be very effective at encouraging drivers to yield. And the other change that complements this is that the reduction of the speed limit from 45 miles an hour to 30 means that it's easier. It's actually easier for drivers to slow down and stop. You don't have to decide so far in advance when someone's about to cross the street. And also by reducing the number of lanes over here from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, you have to watch for fewer lanes of traffic. It's a lot safer getting across. You also see over here in the median, there's what's drawn in red, this kind of jog in the path, and this is to help pedestrians crossing the streets, to encourage them to be pointed the right direction, to be looking the right direction at the cars that are about, that are coming their way, and it works in either directions. A mid-block crossing, of similar type can be seen on Williston Road right now in South Burlington. This also has the RFBs. I've used it before. It works quite well. The main difference, we're combining that and what you see over here. This is a stop by Fanny Allen, where there's a jog in the path to point you the right direction before you complete the second leg of the crossing. We're not proposing a full set of signals like exist over there, but the RFBs will be there in its place.
Great. So you mentioned 30 miles an hour speed limit. Do you really think people are going to slow down to that 30 miles per hour?
Well, that's a good point, and that's a good question, because we know that people drive the speed that feels right for the type of road that they're driving on. And we also know that if we made no other changes and we just slapped on a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit sign, people would still drive the exact same way as they do right now. The main difference that we expect to see over here is the lane reductions. By having 1 lane in each direction, until you get closer to Susie Wilson Road, you'd be stuck behind those that are following the rules if you were trying to go faster. We do expect that to make quite a difference.
Okay. So why change Pearl Street at all? Why are we doing or even thinking about this alternative?
Well, I think Pearl Street has been evolving a lot over the past couple of decades. The biggest change that we've seen is that a lot of the properties along there have evolved from more auto-oriented uses. There used to be some car dealerships. There used to be more car mechanic shops over there, fast food, and some of those properties are changing to provide more housing. And housing is in critical shortage right now. This figure over here shows that Vermont as a whole needs 36,000 new homes between 2025 and 2029. That's just in 5 years. This is the amount of housing that we're short. When it comes to Essex Junction itself, we have a goal. We need to add over 4,000 new homes by 2050, and that's just to meet existing need and anticipated growth. So, this is to address the big housing shortage, and because we know that housing is unaffordable today, because when there are not enough homes to buy, that's when market competition forces all the rents up higher. We've been thinking about how to solve this and address this housing shortage through what we call the Connected Junction Transit-Oriented Development Master Plan. We were actually on air a month ago talking about this plan, and this is really a rethink of the built environments along the Pearl Street corridor in the city center to see what the future can look like, how we can make this a pleasant place to live for more people, in a way that encourages more people, the newcomers, to use transit if they can, and to drive or walk or bike if they can't. So Pearl Street is the subject of this. We know the changes are coming. That's why we need to make the differences, the changes to the road infrastructure itself.
Great. So let's keep moving on. Let's try to move forward now to like what's next in this process. We have talked a little. We talked about that it's going to be in budget. We talked about that this is we hope that this is going to be the next new project for us. But so what's next for this project?
Well, we have $1.23 million available now in the capital budget because this project has been considered for so long that we now have some funding available. We want to make use of that to build something that fits within it. So, yeah, I mean, $960,000 also leaves a little bit of room for some additional refinements and have a little bit of wiggle room.
Okay, so let's talk about how residents can give some feedback on this, because we want them to give us some feedback, see what they think about all of this. How can they give feedback to us?
Sure. So to provide further feedback, you can submit your comments to the Planning Commission. We actually had a public meeting and open house about this earlier this month, but we are still considering feedback until this project closes. So the Planning Commission meets on the first Thursday of every month. You can write to them, you can show up to the meetings. You can also write to the project team at cyuen@essexjunction.org. That is my email, cyuen@essexjunction.org.
Great. Well, this was a lot of information, and if anybody else wants additional information, they can go to our website. We have a dedicated webpage to the Pearl Street Improvement Project, so you can go on to our website and check that out. It's under our Community Development Department. Chris, that's all the time that we have for tonight. We want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and you as joining us as well. We hope you join us for our next edition of Junction City News on the fourth Monday of every month. Thank you.